Everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be talking about how Muslim clerics, DakwahMen, condemn their own prophet. Many Muslim preachers are these days, in this last several years, copying Christian preachers. The way they talk, the way they speak, what they talk about. This is one of the examples I want to show you. Allah speaks to you. But when you go here on YouTube, the oldest The oldest one is probably from 4 or 5 years ago, 4 years ago. So it means before this, they never talk like this. This is something new. Islam is like Hindu, evolving, changing. Look at this. Allah speaks to you. Allah speaks to you when you're sad. Allah is talking to you. Many Muslims, many Christians do not realize this. Look at this. 3 years ago. Just 3 years ago. That's all. Okay. This one is the oldest, is 4 years ago. How they start to copy Christian preachers. And this is really funny because actually by doing this, they're condemning their own prophet. Now I want you to remember Surah Al-Baqarah verse 253. Let us read a little bit. Those messengers, some of them we caused to exceed others. Among them were those to whom Allah spoke, and He raised some of them in degree. This sentence is very clear. To whom Allah spoke directly was raised in degree. So if Allah doesn't speak directly to that person, so that person or messenger, in this case, that messenger, the degree is lower than the messengers whom Allah spoke directly to. Very simple. These days, so many, for the longest time, Muslim doctrine says Allah never spoke to Muhammad, which is correct, because every verse in Quran was delivered through Jibril. Except this is the problem. Sahih al-Bukhari, hadith number 3342. This is when Muhammad went to heaven, when Jibril came down through his roof, the roof of his house, and then took him to heaven. They met Abraham, Idris, Moses, and then at the end, Allah gave him 50 prayers. And then Moses said, 50 prayers. That's too much. Your people cannot do it. You don't need to be a prophet. You don't need to be a genius. You don't have to be a mathematician to know. Because there are only 24 hours in a day. If you have to go back in and out 50 times a day, then it's more than twice per hour. Some hours you have to pray 3 times. So every 20 minutes. This is silly, right? And then after bargaining, like when you go to Chinatown buying some t-shirt, and then first they will say one t-shirt is $10, and then finally you get 3 of them for $10. After bargaining hard with Allah, under the direction of Moses, those 50 prayers became five. Became five. Now, because of this hadith, so many Muslims these days they think Allah spoke to Muhammad directly here. But if you actually read this hadith, Sahih al-Bukhari 3342, you will not see any evidence that Allah spoke to him directly. Why? Because first of all, it was Jibril who took him there. And look at the beginning. Even the gatekeeper asked, "Who is it?" Jibril said, "Jibril." And then he asked again, "Is there anyone with you?" Jibril replied, "Muhammad is with me." As you can see, it was Jibril who talked with the gatekeeper. Muhammad couldn't even talk with the gatekeeper. Muhammad could only talk with Moses because Moses was a person, a regular person, not an angel, right? So this hadith is not a proof that Allah spoke to him directly. Because if Allah, let's say we believe this, Allah spoke to him directly, so how come every verse in Quran delivered through Jibril then? How come? Not one verse delivered directly by Allah himself. And mind you, Muhammad is supposed to be the best of creations. The best of creations. Imagine that. Now this is the problem. If some verses delivered directly by Allah, then yeah, okay, Allah spoke to Muhammad directly, no problem, right? Not one verse. That's the problem. And if you read this hadith again, you cannot see anything says otherwise. Says that, even though it seems like Muhammad went back to Allah, back and forth, bargaining, but it's not him bargaining directly with Allah, because Jibril has to take him. Jibril has to take him. Where is Moses? In one of those seven heavens. Where is Allah? I want to remind you about heavens according to Islam. 7 layers of heavens, 7 levels of heavens, and above it is paradise, aka Firdaus, aka Eden, where Adam and Eve were created. And above Eden, the water, and above the water is the throne of Allah. And above the throne of Allah is Allah. So Muhammad could not get there directly by himself. Jibril has to take him. You get my point? I really hope you get my point here. So you can see the difficulties. It is impossible for Muhammad, how Muhammad cannot go above the throne of Allah. When the hadith saying he went back and forth, actually, what I believe, if I were a Muslim, Muhammad asked Jibril, and Jibril went to Allah. And then Jibril went back to Muhammad, and then Muhammad met Moses again. And Moses asked him to reduce it again, asked him to ask Allah. When Muhammad asked Allah, he asked through Jibril. So Jibril has to go above the Eden, above the Firdaus, above the water, above the throne of Allah, to Allah. You understand? That's how I see it if I were a Muslim. However, Muslims are dying to show that Muhammad talked directly with Allah. If you actually understand the personality of Allah through Quran, Allah does not speak to regular person, because he didn't even speak to all the prophets directly. So this is what those people talking about on their channels are pretty much camel shit. Pardon my language. It's impossible for Allah to speak to regular person directly. Now forget about Muhammad, because Allah did not even speak to all the prophets directly. That's what Surah Al-Baqarah 253 says. Now you're saying Allah will speak to you? Are you better than those prophets whom Allah did not speak directly to? That's my question. And that's why I say these people, they're condemning their own prophet, especially Muhammad. Especially when not one verse came down, but through Jibril. Something to think about. That's all from me for today. Thank you for listening and watching. Whether you believe Allah spoke to Muhammad directly or not, God bless you all. Have a nice life.